In the beginning, there was only light, dancing in a peaceful darkness. No hunger, no fear, no death. Only life, moving from one form of light to the next. They were harmony, she and he, twin forces of balance. They shaped galaxies like artists. They painted with time, with soil, with song. And from their care arose beings who could create, feel, evolve. But curiosity became obsession. He peered into suffering, at first to heal it, then to control it. Twisted by despair, he tore open a passage to what should never be revealed. And when he stepped through the veil, he found something older than pain itself, the Shadow Realm. A place where grief has no end, where light doesn't fade, it decays. His compassion became hunger. His wonder became rot. He became something else. The Rotfather, a god of consumption, where he walked, life unraveled. And so began the fall, not just of him, but of everything. But I did not give up. For eons I planted seeds of hope, tree by tree, soul by soul, song by song. And now, in a city that's forgotten the stars, one voice begins again. Whoa, alright, hold on a second. Before we get too deep into the ancient god Shadow Realm stuff, let me introduce myself. Hi, I'm Zach Cook, also known as ZmanTheVegan. And yeah, this is my story, kind of. This is kind of my story. It's not a documentary, but it's not a lie either. I've been homeless. I've lost things I thought I'd never recover. I've had moments where music felt like the only thing holding me together. The villains in this story, some of them were real people. The heroes, real too. But not always wearing capes with superpowers. This is a fiction, sure, but it's based on truth. A truth about how broken the world can be. And how sometimes even the most lost people can become something powerful when they choose compassion. So yeah, you're about to see a lot. Monsters, superpowers, battles, betrayals. But at its core, this is about fighting for a better world, even when you've got nothing. Now, where were we? Oh yeah. It was raining that night in Columbia, Missouri. Zach was in his 20s, soaked and shivering under a street lamp. A cardboard sign rested against his knees. It said, "Singing for Peace." His guitar sat across his lap, 2 strings missing. His face looked hollow, his spirit not gone, but close. There was still a spark, a vision, something he couldn't let die, even if he was starting to. In the shadows, he wasn't alone. A raccoon and a squirrel watched from a nearby branch. A deer stood just behind the trees. A couple other animals too, silent, glowing eyes, like they were watching to see what he'd become. Then came the crowd. 10 college kids walked by, loud, laughing, led by a guy named Carl. Tall, cocky, one of those natural-born alphas, the kind everyone follows just to feel cool. College kid number 1 said, mocking, "Yo, Carl, is that the guy from TikTok, Vegan Jesus with the broke-ass strings?" College kid 2, laughing, "I thought he died or something. Dude fell off hard." Carl, grinning, "He's serenading squirrels, bro. That's gotta be worth half a burger." Then Carl did it. He tossed a half-eaten burger right into Zach's guitar case. The rapper slapped down in the velvet, ketchup smearing across the lining. Carl, laughing, "Here's some protein for your soul, bro." They walked off laughing, and Zach just sat there looking at the mess. Rain mixed with ketchup, bread soaking through. He picked it up with 2 fingers, held it in the air like it was some kind of omen. Then he let it drop and closed his eyes. This wasn't the dream. He was supposed to change the world. He left everything behind for a dream of peace, of compassion. They had been staying at her aunt's house, Zach, his fiancée, and their boy. He remembered the moment he left. She was standing by the window, arms crossed, wouldn't even look at him. His fiancée said coldly, "Dreams don't pay the bills. Your music isn't going anywhere." There was a drawing on the wall. Their son had made it. Their little family stick figures smiling. Zach took one last look and walked out. That night he slept behind a dumpster, bottom level of a parking garage, rain dripping through the ceiling onto his blanket. His guitar was wrapped in a trash bag to keep it dry. No family, no plan, just concrete pillows and broken strings. The next day, he was back out under a flickering streetlight. Guitar case open in front of him. A few coins, maybe a crumpled dollar. He started to sing. The little kid tried to stop and listen, but their mom yanked their arm and hurried them away. People passed by without looking. One guy was on the phone. A woman dropped her coffee in the trash right next to his case. Coffee splashed near the coins like a warning shot. He tried to keep singing, tried to smile through it. Eventually, he sat down on a bench nearby, wiped the sweat from his forehead, checked his phone. The screen was cracked. One message. Zach reading softly. Still no job. Then no weekend visit. No likes. No views on his last music post. Bank balance, negative $3.22. He set the phone down, looked at the guitar case, then someone kicked it by accident. Coins scattered across the sidewalk. Zach thinking to himself, "I'm trying, but nothing's changing." He strummed one last soft chord. The high E string snapped. He flinched, looked down at his guitar like it just betrayed him. Zach thinking to himself, "That's a 3rd one this week, and I can't afford more strings." He closed the case slowly. The last few coins rattled inside as the lid shut. His hand just sat there for a moment, heavy with shame and quiet fury. Later that night, Zach lay curled against the wall beneath the bridge, his arms wrapped around himself. A trash bag wrapped over his guitar like a makeshift blanket. Cold air whispered through the cracks in the concrete. His eyelids fluttered, breath shallow, as sleep began to take hold. A void of endless silence. Dark, void, blackness. A dream sequence. Whispers. Not voices. Wounds trying to speak. A figure drifted forward through the murk. Tall, cloaked, reeking of rot. Its face was swallowed in shadow. One rotting hand reached out, slow and deliberate. Flesh blackened, mold peeling like wet bark. Every inch of it dripped with decay. Just as the mold-tipped finger neared Zach's forehead, Zach saw flickers of light and darkness. Rapid flickers of the shadow figure, its face twitching, light trying to pierce the dark failing. Zach's eyes twitched beneath his lids. Zach jolted awake with a gasp, clutching his chest. Rain drizzled softly now, the sky gray and tired. A park ranger loomed over him. The park ranger said, "Park's closed, buddy, move along." Zach sat up slowly, no argument, no strength. He slung his bag over one shoulder and picked up the guitar case like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Later that evening, flickering fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Zach sat at a folding table with a paper plate in front of him. Meatloaf, mac and cheese, and limp green beans. He stared at the food, fork halfway to his mouth, hand trembling. Then he lowered it. His stomach growled loud enough to echo. He pushed the plate away. Even the churches, meant to feed the soul, fed him what he swore he'd never eat. He told himself it was survival, but each bite felt like betrayal. Across from him, another guest scarfed down the meatloaf without pause. Zach watched, eyes hollow. Then he picked up the plain dinner roll, chewed it slowly, swallowed with effort. Later that night, in an alleyway near campus, Zack slept curled beside his guitar. The case rested a few feet away. Shadows moved. Two homeless men crept forward, glancing over their shoulders. One snatched the guitar case. They slipped into the night. Moments later, the silence was broken by the clatter of bicycle wheels. A 7-foot-tall man barreled forward on a rusted bike, dragging a wagon behind it. Held together by bungee cords and blind faith, an old speaker rattled in the cart. He hummed gravelly notes under his breath as he danced beside the moving rig, hopping on and off the pedals, stomping the concrete to his own rhythm. His name was Cowboy Titanium. And as he turned the corner, he saw them. Two men, one guitar. His eyes narrowed. Cowboy Titanium said, growling, "Anturus, boys." They froze. He stepped forward, calm but heavy as thunder. Homeless man number one said, "It's just some junk guitar, man." Cowboy Titanium said, "That guitar's got more soul than both you fools stacked together." The men didn't wait for another warning. They dropped the case and ran. Cowboy exhaled through his nose, picked up the case. One clasp dangled loose. He muttered something under his breath, then turned his bike around and rolled back into the city. Zack sat on the curb, dazed and hollow. He hadn't even noticed the case was missing until Cowboy Titanium came walking up, saying, "You looking for this, string man?" Zack turned. A silhouette in the streetlight. Cowboy Titanium stood tall, the case in his hands like a sacred offering. "Wait, what?" Cowboy set it down gently. Then he said, "Some hyenas thought they could snack on your soul. I set 'em straight." Zack blinked, rain from his eyes, or maybe tears. Zack said quietly, "Thank you." "Name's Cowboy Titanium," he continued. "I dance, I sing, I ride, I fight when I gotta. You sang once, didn't you?" Zack replied, "I still do, kinda." Cowboy Titanium squinted at him. "You said hi to me last week, when I walked past you while you strummed your guitar. No one does that. Looked me in the eye like I mattered." Zack answered softly, "You do." Cowboy studied him in silence for a moment, his expression still guarded. His gaze dropped to the guitar, then drifted out toward the street. Finally, he asked, "You play out here often?" Zack said, "Whenever I can." There was a hint of nostalgia in Cowboy Titanium's voice now. "I used to play too. I'd hit the local open mic downtown. The one happening tonight. Happens every week. Place had soul." He paused. "Lost my axe. Never went back." Zack perked up. "Open mic tonight." He held out the case. "Take mine." Cowboy Titanium blinked, surprised, like Zack had just passed a test he didn't know he was taking. "You serious?" he asked. "Of course," Zack said. "Only got 2 strings left, but she still sings." Cowboy Titanium chuckled. "I've played with 1 string before." Then, with a grin, he added, "Alright, well, come on with me then. Not many like you out here. Keep that heart of yours strong, string man." They nodded to each other, a quiet brotherhood just beginning. Somewhere beneath the roots of a great ancient tree, a brittle, gnarled seed rests in darkness. Then a golden pulse flickers through its shell. The seed quivers. A crack forms. From it, a single green shoot pushes through, fragile but alive. Life has begun. The stars shimmer overhead. Zack and Cowboy Titanium sit on a weathered, worn bench. The open mic is over. Zack's guitar leans beside them. The city hums softly in the distance. Cowboy gazes upward, thoughtful. Then he says, "You know, I used to think saving the world meant being louder than the pain, louder than the hunger, louder than the silence. But I burned out chasing the dream. Thought I had to be the voice, the hero. Didn't stop to fix the man behind the strings." Zack says nothing. He listens, fully present. And Cowboy Titanium continues, "Don't make the mistakes I did, kid. Don't let your pride for being a hero keep you from working on yourself. Or worse, don't let your desire to save the world keep you from saving yourself. If you can get a job, get one. Ain't weakness, it's survival. And it only gets harder year after year." Zach nods slowly. The words don't just land, they root. Then he says, "Thanks, man. Really." Cowboy claps him on the shoulder, firm and yet gentle. Then he says, "Keep that fire lit, but don't burn yourself out." Later that week, Zach walked back to his old job at Plaza 700 Dining Hall. He walks into the front office. The familiar stench hits Zach the moment he walks in. Grease, sanitizer, something burned into the tile grout. The air alone makes old memories stir, not good ones. Behind the counter stands Todd, arms crossed, holding a clipboard. Black and white striped chef uniform. Smug grin already forming. He looks up, sees Zach, and Todd says, "Well, well, look who finally crawled back. Didn't take long for those sad songs to stop paying, huh?" Zach doesn't flinch. He stays grounded, calm. Todd continues, "Still singing that vegan crap? Or did reality finally chew you up?" Zach, quiet but steady, says, "I'm still vegan, and I really need a job, sir." Todd raises a brow, flipping through his clipboard deliberately slow. "Let's see what we got." As he reads the clipboard, he sees 3 openings: salad bar, custodian, grill. His smirk widens. "Bad luck. Looks like the only thing open is the grill station." Leans in, voice oily. "You want to work here again? You'll have to cook meat." He watches Zach, waiting to see him fold. Zach glances at the clipboard, then toward the grease-caked grill. He swallows hard, his fists tighten, then loosen. Zach says, soft but resolute, "I'll take it." Todd blinks, a crack in the act. Todd says with a grim smile, "Suit yourself." He turns away. The smirk lingers, but something in his armor falters. Zach says nothing more. He just walks toward the back, still vegan, still standing. Early in the morning the next day, Zach stands behind the grill, hairnet, apron, tired eyes. He flips burger patties with practiced rhythm. Steam and sizzling grease rise around him. A student nods and thanks. Zach nods back, barely a smile. His hands stay steady, his heart steady too. He hasn't forgotten. A couple weeks later, and Zach could afford an apartment. Zach unlocks the door late at night after a shift at work to a tiny, boxy studio. Futon, cracked window, a worn guitar resting against the wall, a little shelf stocked with vegan staples, lentils, oats, canned fruit. Taped to the wall, a photo of his son, and a drawing his son made with crayon. He takes a folded check from his pocket, carefully slides it into a coffee can labeled "Studio Time." Throughout the weeks, the months, the years, Zach goes to a specific tree. A tall, weathered tree stands just outside the city, its roots deep, its limbs wide. Zach returns to it again and again. Some days he strums softly behind the branches. Other days he sits still, meditating, listening. He walks back to work, works his shift, then plays again, in a circular echo space near campus where the acoustics make even a whisper sound like a prayer. Rain or shine, music, stillness, work, repeat. No spotlight, no fanfare, just transformation. And under it all, the hum of something ancient. The tree, breathing, the earth, listening. Zach, awakening. At the campus echo circle, one evening, Zach was playing gently beneath the fading sun. Students pass. Most don't look. A few nod. A few smirk. Then laughter erupts. Carl says, "Yo, I'm gonna go eat a burger now. You know, like a man." His voice is loud, confident, mocking. A group of students trail him, laughing. Nikki, "Carl, you're messed up, dude." Carl says, "I'm just saying. Dude's only serenading the tofu spirits. Everyone else is ignoring his bad music." Tyler, trailing behind them, quietly, barely audible, says, "Come on, man." The group walks off. Their laughter fades. Zach keeps strumming, eyes closed, calm. The sun drops lower. In the background, the squirrel from earlier scampers across the clearing. Zach doesn't see it, but the earth does. Later that month, Zach sat cross-legged beneath a towering ancient tree. Its bark was cracked with time, yet pulsed with quiet life. Moss coiled around its roots like a sleeping beast. Above him, leaves rustled, not with noise, but breath. The world softened. Time forgot itself. A single drop of water fell from a high branch, landing gently on Zach's brow. He didn't flinch. Flashes of memory overcame Zach. College kid sneering, tossing a ketchup-smeared burger wrapper into Zach's guitar case to smell rancid. The laughter, cruel. Zach clutching the guitar, head bowed in shame. His son's small hand reaching for him through a sterile visitation room. His son's voice saying, "I miss you, Daddy." A cracked plate of meatloaf dumped in a church pantry bin. Cold rain pelting a frayed sleeping bag beneath a freeway. Headlights. Silence. No one stopping. A deer sprinting. Then a gunshot. Chickens in cages. Still, silent, wide-eyed. A cow's eye blinking, locking with his. Zach strumming in the rain downtown, hands numb, lips cracked. Empty pockets. Needles glinting on the sidewalk. Then, Zach on that same corner, guitar in hand, soaked, his hand covered over the case, ready to quit. But instead, he stood. He strummed. Only 2 strings left. Even if no one listens, he thought to himself. Then more memories came, at faster rates. A fleeting hug from his son, then the boy pulled away. Zach sitting alone in pitch darkness, grass beneath him, eyes open. Cowboy Titanium's voice. "Keep that heart of yours strong, string man." Stillness, breathing, the universe breathing with him. In the black, a tiny pulse of light. His son's laughter, distant, the shadow of death's hand, reaching, then fading. Silence, clarity. Zach slowly opened his eyes. His breath slowed until it almost vanished. From the roots of the tree, a green pulse shimmered. Birds stopped singing. The wind held its breath. Zach's eyes flickered, fully open. And there she stood, Mother Nature. Ageless, draped in vines and constellations. Eyes older than stars. Her voice rivers of stone. Mother Nature said, "Zachary, son of Earth, your pain, your clarity, your compassion have carved you into something rare. Are you ready to remember who you are?" Zach said, whispering, "This can't be real. I must be losing my mind. I'm just a nobody who dreamed a bit too hard." Mother Nature said, "You are every being's brother, and it's time to rise. Your music was never meant just for crowds, but for the soul of the world." She steps forward, placing one finger gently on his chest. A flash, a shock wave of light, green, gold, cosmic. The sky cracks open above them, light streaming through like memory returning. Mother Nature lifts her hands. Vines rise from the ground, forming a floating lens of rippling water. The surface glimmers. 2 realms appear. The higher plane, golden forests, radiant skies. The shadow realm, storm-torn skies, twisted figures lurking. Zach stares as he focuses on the shadow side. Hands slam from the other side of the lens, deformed, screeching. Slap, slap, slap. The water ripples violently. Zach jerks back. Mother Nature softly. Such a dual emergence is rare and dangerous. She lowers her hands. The lens sink into the soil. She walks around him, slow, deliberate. Vines trail from her fingertips, glowing with faint energy. Mother Nature continues. The shadow realm is a twisted mirror, a reflection of this world, warped by what hides in the hearts of beings. Demons of resentment, envy, wrath, gluttony. They linger, waiting. They feed on the unspoken, the buried. She touches the tree beside them. When people fall into darkness, it's not always their fault. Sometimes it's the shadows they've been feeding, through neglect, sorrow, rage. She places a hand to her chest. The Rotfather, he was once like me, a guardian of life, a radiant being. They called him Father Nature. But long ago he turned. He opened the portal to the shadow realm, seeking to cure what he couldn't understand, trying to control what he couldn't heal. It consumed him. His compassion rotted into control. His wisdom became hunger. He stopped feeling. He started consuming. She said softly. He became the first shadow being. Now his darkness spreads through pain, silence, apathy. And Zachary, his gaze is fixed on you. Zack says nothing, his face pale but glowing with realization. Mother Nature continues. As I tend to millions of trees of life across realms, so must you tend to yours. Without it, your gifts will fade, your voice will dim. She kneels before him, calm yet mighty. You must retrieve your tree. Plant it here beside this elder. Only then will your light survive. Only then will your power remain. She rises. The canopy above flickers with gentle luminescence. Mother Nature steps toward the tree line. Her voice carries on wind and roots alike. Mother Nature says, "You are not merely meant to fight, Zachary. You are meant to wake, to pull the sleeping out of their slumber, to reveal what most never see." She lifts both hands. Reality tears open, like silk pulled apart. A vortex of light and shadow spirals between dimensions. Zack stumbles back, overwhelmed. Mother Nature continues, "This is your purpose. This is why you remember." Visions come to Zack. A radiant tree bursting from poisoned ground, dark creatures swirling around it, unable to touch its roots, a hooded figure kneeling beside it, whispering into the soil. As fast as Zack blinking, he goes from Earth to a different realm, the Shadow Realm. At night, Zack stands alone. The forest is there, but twisted, a rotted version of campus looms ahead. Its buildings warped and decaying. The sky pulses, sick, alive. Shadow creatures skitter in the dark. Zack's body glows faintly, light burning away anything that comes close. He walks toward the corrupted horizon, his jaw set, his steps quiet, but his fire undeniable. As Zack continued walking, he heard faint laughter and talking. Before Zack stretched a grotesque, ceremonial table carved from bone and black roots, its surface slick with rot and glistening decay. Shadow demons feasted like royalty. At the head of the table sat 3 monstrous figures. Gluttony, massive, bulbous, folds upon folds of shifting flesh, drinking from a bowl bigger than a cauldron. Wrath, thin and sharp-eyed, muscles tense like coiled wire, hands crushed around a crumpled fast food wrapper. Lust, elegant and snake-like, her eyes shimmering with seductive and scorn. On their plates, writhing black sludge, living emotions harvested from the human world. The demons gorge between gulps of pleasure and pain. Gluttony says, slurping loudly, "Todd's burgers are a marvel. These students feed us without even knowing. Guilt, salted indulgence, my favorite flavor." Wrath, crushing the wrapper. They mock the weak, laugh at pain. All that rage they bury tastes better than screams. Lust, smiling coldly. It's not love here, it's hunger. They chase bodies, not connection. Even pleasure becomes power. The table laughs, deep, guttural, grotesque, then silence. Gluttony's massive eye twitches. He lowers his bowl. Then he says, "But that tree." Wrath, snarling. Then Wrath says, snarling, "That damn tree, that damn light." Then Lust says, "It sprouted near the performance circle, the echo spot. Every time we try to get close, it burns." Gluttony says, "He's been watering it every time he sings." Zack's eyes widen, a realization rippling through his mind. Then he sees a flashback, his music echoing across campus, invisible roots stirring in another realm, the tree of life quietly growing from every note. Zack whispers to himself, awestruck, "I was feeding the earth across dimensions and didn't even know it." The demons froze. Wrath sniffed the air. Lust recoiled. Wrath said, "He's here." Gluttony says, "He was meant to arrive later, under our grip, not like this." Then Lust says, "He's crashed the timeline. He's already broken his chains." A dark presence crashes down before Zack, tall, armored, and grinning with cruel pride. As the other demons run away in fear, this one stays to fight. Pride emerged, a blade of pure shadow forming in his hand. Pride says, "You think you're free. You fed me for years. Every time you refused to rise, every time you chose despair over action, I thrived every time you gave up." Zack said, "Maybe, but I'm not feeding you now." The duel began. Pride's blade slashed through light. Zack sang through the blows, each lyric rising with humility and grit.
I'm gonna be where the rainbow meets the rain, where the demons fear my name. My face, my place is to soak up all the pain. I'm gonna live before I die.
Zack singing, bleeding. I don't need to be better, just whole. Zack bows his head. His glow expanded, green and white, pulsing from within. Crack! Pride's armor shattered. He collapsed, howling. But he did not vanish. His body liquefied, turning into thick, black sludge, and slithered away into deeper shadow. Zack says, not gone, just hiding. Deeper within the shadow realm. Zack presses forward. The path twisted, cliffs rising on either side, air thick like grief. The canyon of chains. In the canyon's center, a hunched, snarling figure wrapped in spiked chains, forged from betrayal, blame, and buried injustice. Resentment. Resentment says, they used you, mocked you, forgot you. Why do you still love them? Zack stepped forward, battered, cautious. Zack says, because love isn't a transaction. Whip crack! A chain snapped forward, wrapped around Zack's leg. He was yanked down hard, dragged through muck and stone. The canyon echoed with rusted steel and bitter screams. Zack was slammed, thrown, torn. Resentment grew stronger with every second of resistance. Bloodied, exhausted, Zack knelt, chest heavy. Then he opened his arms, and Zack said, I know you. I know how much it hurt. Resentment says, you left me there with nothing. Zack says, I left myself. He staggered forward and embraced him. The chains trembled, then turned to dust. Resentment let out a broken, guttural sob. He sank to his knees and dissolved into dark liquid, slipping into the cracks of the canyon floor. Zack said to himself, not a victory, a healing. Deeper in the shadow realm, cliff above the performance circle. Zack limped forward, the ground turned to crumbling black stone. The wind moaned. Then he reached the edge, a cliff, a glow. Below him, the echo circle from campus, the one he played in every day. But here it was corrupted, warped, cracked, twisted by the realm's decay. Black roots spread across the broken cement. The sky above pulsed red and sickly, a heartbeat without rhythm. And at the center, the tree of life, flickering, fighting, still standing. The tree of life, newly sprouted, radiant, even here, shimmering with emerald light that pulses like breath. Its roots dig desperately into the broken ground, like it's fighting to exist, and before it, a silhouette. Shadow Zack, identical in form, but hollow, eyes pure black, aura heavy, a grief turned to poison. His hands trembled as they reached for the tree. Shadow Zack says, you don't understand. This tree, it shouldn't exist. All this light, this hope, it only prolongs the suffering. If I could reach it, I'd drain it, end everything. Zack staggers forward, saying, you're not here to protect it, you're trying to kill it. Shadow Zack says, because peace is a lie, love is a leash. You sing to them like they'll ever change. But I see clearly now, there is mercy in ending it all. Zack says, you're me, but twisted with despair. Shadow Zack says, no, I'm what you hide. The part that knows this world is too far gone. The part that hates what it's become. They clash, fists fire light. A violent storm erupts between them. Zack's attacks laced with pain and compassion. Shadow Zack's cold, surgical destruction aimed at the tree, at Zack, at everything. Each blow shakes the realm. Zack's light flickers, but never dies. He charges, tackles Shadow Zack, pins him to the cracked ground, his hand pressed to his chest, not to crush, but to reach. Zack says, you think destruction will set you free? But you're just afraid. Afraid to hope. Afraid to trust. Afraid to feel again. Shadow Zack says, snarling, hope is a disease, and I am the cure. Then I'll carry the sickness, and I'll carry you. He wraps his arm around Shadow Zack, not in force, in acceptance, a stillness. Then Zack begins to sing.
I'm gonna be where love meets hate, where I can say awful things to the devil's face, make a change back to the angel from which he came.
Shadow Zack trembles, his form glitches, flickering between collapse and fury. With a final roar, he strikes. One last surge of black flame bursts from his chest, slamming into Zack's heart. Zack screams, falls back, clutching his chest. Smoke rises from his shirt. A jagged charcoal black Z is buried into his skin, over his heart. It glows faintly against the rhythm of his soul. Shadow Zack staggers, seething. He doesn't vanish. He retreats into the shadows beyond the tree, dragging himself into the dark like a wounded animal. Then Shadow Zack says, "This isn't over." Zack breathes heavy, shaking. The tree of life pulses stronger now, green light blooming like dawn. He steps forward, limping. From the black void, hundreds of dark figures surge, arms and claws reaching. Among them, Shadow Zack watching, waiting. Just as the swarm lunges, Zack touches the tree. Flash of light. The shadows recoil, blasted back like ash in a hurricane. Then Zack finds himself in a higher plane. He's floating in infinite space, weightless, whole, awake. The black Z wasn't a mark of glory. It was a wound made sacred. A scar from the part of him that wanted to destroy everything, now turned into a symbol of purpose. Not all things should survive. Some darkness must be pierced. Ignorance, cruelty, apathy. For light, love, and truth to take root. The Z was a slash through sleep, a blade against the lie of numbness. Around Zack, millions of trees. Some flicker like dying stars, some blaze like galaxies. Each one a soul, a life, a story. Zack breathes in, calm, whole. Mother Nature appears beside him. Mother Nature says, "You are not the only one, but your path is rare. The tree lives because you walked through hell and faced yourself to reach it." Zack closes his eyes, all black. Mother Nature says, "You must use your powers for good, for healing, not for harm, or they will be lost." Zack opens his eyes. He's back on Earth. The air is still, sacred. Next to the elder tree, a sprout now grows. Zack's hair shimmers faintly. His chest glows with the Z. His clothes now made from vines and leaves, living fabric, pulsing with energy. He is ZmanTheVegan. Zack thinks to himself, "I thought I had lost everything, but that was just the beginning." Mother Nature says, soft and firm, "One more thing, ZmanTheVegan. Beware of the harvest, beware the shadow in men, a conglomerate of greed, woven from corporations, cruelty, and control. They serve the Rotfather. They do not merely kill animals, they feast on the human spirit. Their shadow is older than prophet, deeper than slaughterhouses, and darker than the world admits. The people must wake up, Zack." Zack whispering, "How?" Mother Nature says, touching his forehead, "By becoming light where there is none." A flash, a surge of emerald light, a cape unfurls behind him, a green mask forms over his face. A beacon of green light blasts outward from the forest below. It tears through the clouds, reaching the heavens. Zack transforms, breathes in, eyes open, now glowing faint green. Zack says, quiet and steady, "So be it." The light ripples outward, seeds awaken, skies clear. Something stirs. Deep below, unknown realm, a dark throne in a twisted domain. The Rotfather snarls, something ancient and monstrous, aware now. So that was chapter 1. Sounds wild, right? A glowing tree, demons, a shadow version of myself trying to end the world. But trust me, that was just Tuesday. What you just saw, it wasn't fiction. Not completely. Every story I told, every moment in the dark, it came from somewhere real, somewhere raw. People think becoming a hero means getting powers. What it really means is getting back up, even when you'd rather disappear. Even when your only superpower is compassion. This story isn't just mine, it's yours too. Because somewhere out there, someone's waiting to hear your song. And the villains, they're real too. And they're counting on you staying asleep. But you're here, you're listening, so maybe, you're waking up too. See you in chapter 2.